Hello, thank you for joining. We'll get started here in just a moment. Appreciate everyone joining today. Samantha here with Center Technologies. We are looking to help customers optimize their ERP with Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. And today's webinar will be showcasing 5 hidden gems of Business Central with our solution architects and experts, Steve Anderson and Al Figueroa. As an early adopter of Business Central implementation and support specialist, we have unique insights into Business Central's evolution. And through our expert guidance, we want to show practical tips on Copilot, integrations, workflows, and much more. We'll cover the 5 hidden gems, and we have our team that will be looking at any questions you want to submit to the panel throughout the presentation. We'll be happy to have Q&A in between each of the hidden gems that we cover. Again, we hope that this can be valuable to customers to learn how to optimize Business Central and discover key features that you may not have been aware of. Also, we will be having a raffle for all of those that attended for a free Starlink. So excited to share more to come there. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll be covering the first hidden gem, and this is Analyze with Copilot, and I'll make an introduction here to Steve Anderson.
Hi, thanks for joining everyone. This is Steve. So I'm going to be showing Copilot. So you might be curious as to, let's go ahead and go to the next slide here. Then I'm going to actually talk about this a little bit, and then we'll go into Copilot. So there's a lot of talk about obviously Copilot is everywhere with Microsoft. It's touching all of the different applications, and of course Business Central is no exception. And they are really expanding on that. They're starting out with just putting some basic settings into Business Central. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of that. And then this is one of the areas where Microsoft is really investing a lot of time and effort and money to expand on these capabilities. So if we can go ahead and go, yeah, switch over to my screen. Thank you. So this is our Business Central homepage, which is a dashboard that has things that are relevant to the work that I do. And so what I'm going to do is go in, and there I have some links here just to get just a little bit shortcut of an idea of here on this page of just what's available in Copilot today in Business Central. So of course this is going to expand, but currently there's some chat. We're all used to, or hopefully most of you are getting used to using the chat in your Edge browser. I think you see the little icon up here on the upper right of my corner in my browser. We use that hopefully quite a bit instead of Google that would go through. But you can see that's built in. And then there's some other areas, and I'm going to hit on just a couple of them as an example. One of them is the bank account reconciliation area. They have added some intelligent, or let's just say more advanced and intelligent matching that happens in your bank rec. So this is very helpful to our accounting folks to do the bank reconciliation. So I'm going to just do a little bit of flyby there first to kind of see how that works, give you an idea. And so let me pull that up in the bank rec page here. So let me go over to the bank. Actually, I went over to the bank account. So I'm going to go to the bank reconciliation. There it is. All right. So in our bank reconciliation, there is a icon here. This is your Copilot icon to go in. And I have this one preset just to kind of go through and see, okay, what would it do if it was working in reconciling our bank account? You would have downloaded your file, of course, from the bank. And you can see there's a button now that says reconcile with Copilot. And I've already run through the process, so I just want to talk about this briefly. But what it's doing is it's using more power than just simple matching. It's using AIs. It learns your data and the data that you've loaded into BC. It uses that to understand things, for example, of if it sees transactions that might match to a particular vendor or a particular code or something, it does a matching of those on that data file back to what you see in Business Central. And it's a little bit, actually it learns as it goes, and so it's just a much more advanced and faster way to do it. You can with that process, then especially if you have a lot of volume, a lot of activity of checks, ACH, whatever you're doing, it'll accelerate the process of going through and generating the bank reconciliation. The goal, of course, is to reduce the amount of manual effort and repetitive, work that you have to do to generate that. So in the end, you can still export this out to Excel and do it the hard way, the old school way, if you need to, and trace things down. But we're going to see in this area and in others like this, and at the detail level, things that are improving our efficiency and making it faster to reconcile our bank accounts. So I ran through this one already and it did the matching. Um, if everything was good, like on this one is, it does have a balance, but if everything was good, I would go through my normal bank reconciliation process and post this out. So the idea here is that we're saving time. We're going to see this expand over time as Microsoft starts adding more features to Copilot. The other area I want to do is just kind of show some of the couple of capabilities that you can do with the chat. And so similar to what you have, in your browser over here, this chat, let me get back to this is a chat inside of Business Central. So this can only look at my Business Central data. This is not, as far as the data is concerned, it's not commingled with anyone else's data. Now it can search for just generic information on the web. It can search for help or other things. But as far as data is concerned, your data is safe. It's not looking at anyone else's data that Microsoft is hosting. And so it's data out there. The whole idea is here you can see that there's ways you can look up data. How do I do something? Help me understand something, things like that. But one just way to kind of just show the example of how it's looking at our data. Just going to put this in plain language. I'm just going to say chairs under $500. That's a very simple statement, right? And in the real world, we might be a lot more specific about what we're looking for. But you can see it's doing the crunching that Copilot does. It's going out. It's looking at our data, so it's not looking anywhere else. It's going to bring back some information that it's going to think is relevant, and then I can kind of guide it if I needed to get better. All right, so it's brought back and said, okay, I found some chairs under $500. There's a list of those here. I'm just going to pick one of them. I'll point out something else that they've added for Copilot. So this brought up the chair. I could use this. I could add this to a sales order. I could do other things with this. But this is just kind of a plain language way to go out and analyze my data without having to do queries or look through list pages. So that's something that they've added that can save a lot of time. The other thing here is this found an items page. So obviously, if I've got items, customers, vendors, GL accounts, whatever I have, those are out there. And what I want to show in this one is I'm going to close out my Copilot for a moment. They've added a new analysis of our list pages. So for those of you that are already using Business Central, you're familiar with list pages, but maybe not this function of analyzing it with Copilot. And so I'm going to create an analysis. We'll just keep this simple for the interest of time. I'm just going to say that I want a few columns of data here. And again, I'm not trying to write a query in a database or anything like that. I'm just going to put some of these fields that I see on here, and I'm going to put unit price. Okay, and then I'm just going to say generate. So based on what I just listed, it's going to do some crunching. It's looking at just my list right now. So it's not looking at all my data. It's looking at kind of that preset list that I had. Right. So now I've said, okay, I've got a list, and I just really all it did was just kind of filter it down to the fields that I want. But again, if I'm trying to get more specific, I'm going to say unit price greater than, I think I've got what, $192. We've got a few that are below that. So let's just do that. And again, I'm not writing a where statement or doing any kind of, I don't have to understand databases or anything like that. So I got a real quick way of saying, oh, I've got some data. It filtered it down. I like this analysis. I'm going to keep it. So what I'm going to do here is say, keep this. And what it did was it added a list page or a filter that anytime I come in now to the list, I've got this available to me. So what they're doing is giving you the ability to expand on this, do common language type querying and research. You could still do all the filtering that you want to do. You can see here that I've got all my, pivot mode and pivot table type data that I could use, and I can still get this out to Excel. But the goal is accelerating the process of just saying in plain language, I want to see some items, and I want to see ones that are over $192 without having to write a query or having to do a lot of filtering. So There's a lot more coming, but this is just a couple of examples of some of the things that are built into Copilot, and we're expecting a lot more from Microsoft over the next few releases of Business Central. So that's my part on Copilot. If we want to move on to the next one, and I'll be back later. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Al Figueroa. I'm going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at shortcut keys today. We'll start with um, looking at where we find our shortcut keys. So if we go into um, our Business Central uh, and we click on um, the help, the little question mark here, the help, and we go to at the bottom, you'll see keyboard shortcuts. It takes us into the help area of Microsoft Help um, pages, and it will bring up in the screen section. Um, we'll be able to open up the keyboard shortcuts, and this is pretty cool because it basically will, you know, demonstrate what we can do with the keyboard rather than always having to depend on the mouse. Um, the mouse is great, but sometimes we it's a little faster if we know our shortcut keys that we can use on the keyboard. So just wanted to bring up. I don't know if not that many people know about this page, but I did want to show you where it's at. All right, so let's switch back to Business Central. And in using our shortcut keys, one that is very often um, used here is, um, let's say that we wanted to open up um, my settings. Well, you could click on, you could use the mouse to get here and then look for my settings. But a much faster way would just be to do an Alt T. An Alt T will open up that my settings page, and then from here, very quickly, you could open up multiple companies, or you could go into perhaps you want to change the role that you're working with. So you want to, you want to have a different um, home page, and so you want to change the role that you're working on. So you can do all of that from my settings, and so um, that's a quick Alt T on the keyboard. All right. There's also in my settings, you'll also find the ability to change your work date. This is important for, particularly I think for accounting people when they're working in a previous period and they're going to be posting like into a previous month, and maybe they're in the new month, and so you're able to change your work date from this my settings page, and then all of the transactions that you're going to be making would be, let's say in the July 31st date, even if you're now into August. So you can find that from the my settings page, and that was a quick Alt T. Alt F5 also refreshes your screen. So if you do an Alt 5, you will refresh the screen. Um, Another one that I like to use is the Alt Q. That's another shortcut key that I just, if let's say you wanted to look up um, a page, you just, rather than having to use your mouse to go to the search page, you just click Alt Q and it will take you there. All of that again is visible um, from this shortcut keys. All right, you'll see it's Alt Q to open up the tell me or the search data. Um, so let's see. Control F1 is help. Obviously, we looked at that one. It opens up your help, and from here, you can go into, uh, uh, c- you know, type in, whatever subject you want to look at. You want to do inventory adjustments or what have you. You just click in there. You click the enter, and it'll take you into that page. Um, Another shortcut, I think, that is nice is when you're in a journal, we're able to use the F8 key. So from here, you'll be able to easily copy information from um, maybe there was some field in here that you needed to replace, and rather than type things out, you could just click the F8. The F8 will copy the information that's above, right? So F8 copies information that is in the above field. So that's another shortcut key that I think is very useful, especially people that work in journals. Also, sometimes on some of the pages, we get these fact boxes here on the right-hand side, and people will sometimes ask me, "How do I close this navigation page out?" Well, if you just do a Alt F2, it will turn on and off this navigation piece, and it'll just give you more real estate in this page. All right, so that is the Alt F2. Um, Also, sometimes we want to pop things out. So, in other words, we want to um, put this into a different um, page, perhaps, in another monitor. So the command there is going to be a Alt Shift W. So Alt Shift W, and what that will do is, if you noticed, that opened up another page, um, and it basically, put this into a new page by itself, and then I can take this page and I can drag it um, into a different monitor, or or I can just expand it, and so it'll be by a page by itself, um, a little different than having it on the same in the same browser as the one that you were started with. Let's see. So there's just an abundant amount of shortcut keys that you're able to work with, and I think this is going to really save you time, and especially people that are used to working with the keyboard, particularly people that are working in Excel, and so you're used to knowing all of the um, shortcut keys in Excel, perhaps in Word, and so you're able to, given that Business Central is a Microsoft product, you're able to use that same um, idea within BC. All right, and so just remember to find this. You may want to print it, save it as a document on your desktop. Um, to find it, remember that you can go to this help area, and you're going to go to, at the bottom, you'll see that it says keyboard shortcuts, and then you want to click on this graphical view of that page. All right, so I think that's a very good shortcut um, for your productivity purposes. All right, let's see. That is the shortcut keys. We can go to the next subject here. And this is page inspection. All right. Page inspection is another one of those things that's important in BC. Um, and basically, what that means is we want to be able to open up a page. Let's work in customers, and when we open up a customer card, we have all of the fields, from the customer, and we can click this show all, show more, or show less fields that are in here. Um, but sometimes, we're looking for a field, and We just don't know if it's available for us to either add to this page, or perhaps add it to a document, or perhaps to add it to a list. And so what we want to do very often is we want to inspect this. We want to inspect this page. So the way to do that is there's two ways. They're using the keyboard. You would click on Help, and you would go to um, Help and Support, and the Inspect Pages and Data. All right. So when you do that, it will, at that point, open up the page inspection section here, and you'll be able to, it'll tell you that you're in customer card 21, you're in customer table. So this is page 21, this is table 18, and this shows you all of the fields they're available in that um, in that customer table card. All right. And you can also click on this search area, and you can type, and it'll bring up that field, where all of the different fields that are available. You can also click on View Table, and it will, from here, from the page inspection, if you do that View Table, it will also open up that that table, and you'll be able to see all of the information that's available in that table from the from this view table page. Right, so you'll see that really um, uh, all of the fields that make up that customer record are available in this view as well. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so that is the page inspection. Um, we'll use this page inspection um, to determine, you know, if there are fields that we need to add to a page, if we need to, um, especially, when customers ask us for, can we add fields to a report? What we'll want to do is we'll want to make sure that those fields are already available. If not, we'll have to get those fields added via some development. And then once those fields are available for us in a table, then we can at that point quickly move those fields over to the card or a list or even a document like an invoice or an order. All right, so um, very helpful to know about the page inspection. It's a very useful, and I told you that the way to get here is by clicking on Help and then Search. There is also a shortcut key, and that is Control Alt F1. So I'm going to use that on my keyboard, and you notice that at this point, um, you're able to reach that page inspection using the Control Alt F1 um, keyboard shortcut as well. Okay, very good. All right, let's go on to, I think that covers about what I wanted to cover in the page inspection. We can go to the next thing at this point. Sure.
Okay, on the edit in Excel, there's a question, can posted data be changed? Can I import journals?
Yes. Let's go. Actually, we're gonna move into the edit in Excel um, section next. I'll cover it there. Um, was there anything else that you wanted to cover at
Yes,
this
on
point?
the page inspection,
Mhm.
there's another question, are all the tables and fields listed?
Yes, in the page inspection, what we need to do is what's good about the page inspection is once you open up the page inspection and you move, let's say to we were sitting at the customer card, but once if I have that open and I switch to vendors, now I'll see all of those fields that are available on the vendor side. So as long as you have the page inspection open, you're able to move to a different area of the system, like say items. I'm going to go to my item table. And now, okay, this is my item catalog. Let me do that again. Search item, my item list here. And because I'm still in the page inspection, I can, I will now, be able to inspect that the items that are available in that list. And notice that I'm looking at the page inspection for the item list. Now, if I wanted to, this is a good question because very often what people will ask us is, hey, um, can I move a field into my list? And the answer is yes. We'll do that through the personalization area. But here is a good place to start because you can see if those fields are available in the table, and then you can quickly drag those into your page or your list page via the personalization area. That's a good question. Remember, as long as you have your page inspection open, you can move to a different table. And at this point, it will show you the fields specific to the new page that you opened. That's a good question.
Great. Thank you, Al.
All right, you're welcome. Let's go ahead then and go to the edit in Excel. This is very important, guys. Edit in Excel is something that as consultants and implementers will use often, particularly in the beginning of a project where we're doing data imports. And so what this is all about is giving us the ability to take data that's already been imported and make changes to it. So to do that, we're going to go to this option here. It's a share this page, and we want to do if we do the open in Excel, it basically will put, this information that's on the page, it'll put it into an Excel sheet. And that's good if you're, trying to maybe work with static information and make some changes, like to a report or something that you're going to share with someone else. But if you're trying to do actual updates to this table, you want to do it within the edit in Excel um, option. So we're going to click into the edit in Excel. It's going to open up this file. I click on it. It's going to open up my Excel. I have to click enable editing. Once I'm in there, the first thing that it's going to do is it's going to connect me to my um, Business Central environment. So that pause that it was doing, it was connecting it to basically my source, in this case, the Business Central. And what it did here, notice that basically um, it opens up whatever you were in BC, it opens up it in Excel. And from here, if I make any changes to this, it will write it back to BC. So I think a good way to demonstrate this is if I am, if I'm, I'm in my list and I want to, the ability of editing, any field that is visible. So I'm going to be able to go in here and I can copy this information. Oops. I was here. I'm going to copy this information down. Notice that it's basically I'm trying to edit this field. In this case, it's just a phone number. Once I've updated the information in Excel, I can just quickly click on publish. and it's done that quickly. Um, if I go like what I will do, what I'll need to do is I'll need to refresh my BC, and once I look at that information at this point, notice that those phone numbers are in there at this point. So I was able to edit all of my phone numbers right from within Excel. Um, Now, let's see another. Uh, Sometimes like this in this case, we have a very small sample size in this Cronus environment test company, but it's very useful. Let's say if you're, in a customer table or in a vendor table and you want to update location codes, you want to update payment terms or shipping methods, rather than working individually in cards and opening up the field and going, oh, okay, um, I want to change my um, location to uh, Maine, and then having to toggle to the next record. That's that's one way of doing it. Maybe if you're just doing one or two, but this using the edit in Excel is much faster and much easier um, to edit information in BC. Um, and I think there was a question prior about editing a journal. So let me try that. Let me go to a journal, and I'm going to go into my default batch. Oh, there's nothing there. Let me try in daily. Okay, I've got some things in here. I'm going to do the share to edit in Excel. So opening that up, I click the enable editing. And yes, it brings in all of the lines from my journal batch in BC. And I can make changes to, the account numbers, the amounts, the dollar amounts, etc. Um, and then to save this back to BC, remember that you always click the this publish option. And then after it's done publishing, you don't have to save. You will just click out. It's going to ask you, do you want to save these changes to the file? You don't have to save anything because it's already made the changes in BC. So you can just say, don't save, and it will update your journal batch. So we just saw that we can use the edit in Excel for journals. We can also do it for tables such as vendor, customer, items, um, fixed assets, any type of master record that you're trying to edit in a mass scale. All right. I don't know if there's any more questions. If there isn't, I'll let um, Steve proceed.
Cell layouts. This is something not too many people know about this. I'm hoping that you do, but we're going to learn real quick. There are some new features to get our standard reports into Excel. And there are lots of reports that are available that are in Excel or in just standard old school type reports. I'm going to show you an example here. I'm going to go into my report layouts here. And so like any accounting system, we have a lot of basic reports like trial balance, aging reports, inventory reports. A lot of them are the list reports, right? I've got a view here. I'm just going to give you a simple example of how this works. So I'm going to run the sort of what I'd call the old school version of this report, just the kind of the basic report. I'm going to run this one. It's a vendor item purchases report. It's got parameters and things, and I can send this to Excel, but I'm going to show you something that's even more powerful than that. But first, I just want to show you, to contrast this, the initial report. This is real small, just make it bigger. This is just your super basic report, right? Just an old school, hey, here's a listed report. It prints out. Maybe I can get to Excel. Maybe I go to PDF or whatever it is. But it's super basic, and I can't do much with it. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just your old basic report. What has the Excel layouts does is say, let's say you like the data that's on this report, but you want to do something with pivot tables, charts, Excel, whatever you want to do. You want to use the underlying data that the report is giving you effectively what you want, but you want to make it look a lot better. You want to analyze it. You want to do something in Excel. So you can take any report in this list. I'm going to go back to the full list. Any report in this list, and there's of course hundreds of reports in Business Central, and create an Excel layout version of those reports. So I did that with one of these as an example here. I'm going to run this one. This is the Excel version of that report. And what I normally do when we do this is we set that report and make it the default so that anytime I run this report, then when I click download, it knows I want the Excel version of this report. And I could still put parameters and things like date ranges and vendors and all that. But for our purposes here, I just want to show you what this could look like. So this is literally the same underlying data and the same underlying report under the hood. But what it's done is I went in and I just kept it super simple. I'm not a pivot table expert by any means, but I did a simple pivot table based on the data. So when this was exported to Excel, there's a hidden, I'm going to unhide my data tab here. There was data, underlying raw data that was in there, right? That was all that data that we saw in that report. This is kind of the raw version of that, but I could take that data then and do anything I want. I created, here's a basic pivot table. I added a slicer for the item and a slicer for the vendor. It's all live inside Excel because I've gone in now and just changed my data, or I can just work with it live. I've added another pivot, so I can do whatever it is I want to do. Here's another breakdown with charts, etc. So I can take that underlying data and make this into a report that I want to use. Now, we're all used to, especially from the accounting world, we'll run reports out of Business Central or other systems, and they're pretty good reports, but a lot of times we find ourselves having to, for some kind of reporting package or some type of presentation or management meeting or whatever it is, we're constantly having to take that data, copy it over, put it in our package, and maybe it's got a lot of analysis and things. And if you're doing that analysis in Excel, you sometimes find yourself having to recreate that, or something goes wrong when you copy paste your raw data, and then you've got calculation issues and problems like that. What this does is whatever changes that I make to this report, when I run it, it saves those changes and that becomes part of the base level report. I don't have to redo, obviously I ran this and it spit out this data. So if I were to make any changes to this, these pivot tables, these reports, whatever I want to do, once that's saved, if I can make a change to this, and I'm not going to make a change, but I'll just show you the process, how it works. I'm going to save this and I'll do let me do a save as here. Let's do a save as. And I'll just drop this. Yeah, it's in my downloads. So it's already there. That's great. So it's in my downloads. So if I was doing something and I made a bunch of changes and I want to update that, I'm going to do a replace layout. So let's say I went in, I could have linked to other files. I could have made a bunch of changes to my data. I'm going to go out and I would just simply reload this into Business Central. And then from then on, that's ready to go. So like in the real world, what I would do is say, I want to run my vendor item purchases report, come in, download it. And when I open it, now it's good to go. It's saved everything that I did. If there's links to external documents or external files or whatever's going on, it got loaded into BC, and it saved my Excel file, but it still added all my real data from BC. So it's refreshed, of course, when I hit enable. It refreshes to real data, and I don't have to rebuild anything. So this is really powerful in that a lot of times we find ourselves having to recreate this every time, or especially at month end close, having to do a lot of reports that we have to clean this up. So I think this is awesome because again, a lot of times the data that you need, instead of saying, go into your developer or going, I need a report that does X, Y, and Z, sometimes you do just want it in Excel. And Excel's never going away. We know we don't want to use Excel as an accounting system, but Excel's never going away. We're going to do our analysis in Excel and Power BI and other tools. And so that's the power of this, taking any kind of basic report that you might use and being able to drop that in and then have all this other data corresponding with that ready to go with your Excel file. So that's it in a nutshell. So I'll turn it back over to Samantha.
Great. Thank you, Steve. We'll go over a few questions here that came through and also just to share out loud with what's been addressed. The Excel layout, the question is, can we link to external Excel files?
So yes, what happens is anything that is embedded in your file, in your Excel file, gets loaded into BC. So it literally takes your Excel file as it is. If it's got external links, if it's got pages that are connecting, whatever is in there, it loads that in. So it doesn't break any of your connections. So that's a powerful thing, is once it gets brought up and refreshes, it might be pulling data from some other completely different source or linking to other sheets. So yeah, it saves everything that you did in your Excel file.
Great. Thank you. Another question came up asking if Business Central is a service that Center offers, or providing simple advice on Microsoft services. So to answer that as well, Center Technologies does offer Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, a cloud-based ERP solution that integrates with the Microsoft Stack and Teams and Office. We have a business intelligence team that delivers implementation and support help for any customers that are currently using or exploring using the Business Central solution. We have another question that came through on can changes be made to the chart of accounts? Steve responded that yes, within some rules about the settings and history, you cannot delete, but you can rename some of the fields related to the chart of accounts. And lastly, a question came up, are there custom reports without an extra cost?
Let me see if I can address that. So you can, and similar to what I did, you can build reports. If you, I guess it kind of depends on how you use this. So Excel's one method to build your own reports, and you can do custom reports. Power BI is another method for doing this. It is, once you get it to Power BI or get it to Excel, I mean, it doesn't take special Business Central knowledge. So if you wanted to do that on your own and avoid, extra cost of a consultant or something like that, yes, you could do it. So there are obviously a lot of built-in reports, but if you want the ability to do some of that on your own without having to have, to pay for some help, you could learn those tools, because again, they're Microsoft tools and you don't have to have special BC knowledge other than the table data.
That are reports in Excel or Word using the edited.
Yeah, that's a good one. We didn't really talk about that, but there is some ability to do other edits of other document types. Again, you need a little bit of understanding of where the data is, but it's not, you could learn how to do that if you're a power user in some of the other Microsoft products.
Super. That's all the questions that I see right now. Please feel free, if anyone comes up with other questions or thinks of anything, our team will be more than happy to hopefully be a great resource for you. And we really appreciate everyone's time here today. We will be conducting the raffle tomorrow for the free Starlink, so news to come on a winner. And again, thank you all for your time joining us on this webinar. We appreciate everyone's time, and hopefully this is helpful, Microsoft is pouring enhancements into their Business Central and R&D, and we have a dedicated team of experts that are staying on top of all the new features and enhancements, and we will be rolling out a series with more hidden gems and different areas for us to cover in the near future. Thanks, everyone.